Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. I feel inspired to make another video. It's the 15th of December 2022, 12:05 p.m. Charlie is very obsessed with me right now. Say hello to the people, Charlie. Say, no, you can't put your tongue in my mouth. Say hello to the people. Hello, people. Hello, YouTube world. Hello, planet Earth. So, a very cute thing just happened. I've got a few things I want to talk about today. A very cute thing just happened. I was sitting outside in the garden under Charlie's favourite tree, which she likes to go in when we're out there, and I'd sit underneath it. And Charlie wasn't with me. She was actually sitting on top of this box that I keep as shelving underneath the window where she sleeps, right, at night. Her bedroom, which is also my jewellery studio now. And my cleaning lady, Rati, was in that room vacuuming, and Charlie doesn't like the noise of the vacuum cleaner. No animal or bird does. So Charlie was sitting on top of this box that I use as shelving, timber box, and was like squawking at Rati, going, and even Rati just commented before she left. She said it was like she was saying, "What are you doing in my room?" And she said, and as soon as I finished vacuuming, she stopped and went quiet again. And I said, "Oh, Charlie is a very bossy bird." Like, I jokingly call her the new world leader, because all my other world leaders have passed on. The other alpha animals in the house had all gone to Valhalla. And now we're left with Charlie and Beauregard. And one would think that Beauregard would be the latest New World leader. But no, the boss of this house is most definitely Charlie. Aren't you, Charlie? Cheeky bird. So anyway, the delightful thing was I'd forgotten that Charlie was still up, standing on that box on top of this little wooden cabinet I keep outside as a potting cupboard. And so I'm sitting under the tree looking at Facebook and, minding my own business. And above my head, not far above my head, I could have reached up and touched him or her, was this little Indian minor bird. They're like little grey birds with little sharp beaks, little honey eaters, I think they are, kind of birds. Anyway, the little bird was like looking down at me going tweet, 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 and simultaneously, sucking nectar out of the yellow flowers that are in that tree. So so I was like really delighted, and I'm looking up at this little bird, and I went, "Oh, hello, little bird. How are you today? Aren't you lovely?" And it's looking down going tweet, 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 tweet. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh my goodness, now I'm communing with all the wild birds who treat me like I'm a member of their family, which is delightful. And I'm like, but where's my bird? And I look up, and there's this little face sitting on top of the shelving going, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're not even talking to me. You're ignoring me, and you're talking to the other birds now." Anyway, it was actually quite hilarious. So I went and got her and brought her back so she can be with Mama, because she actually is very, very clingy and likes to be with her Mama. Don't you, Charlie? Hello, hello, hello. So the other funny thought that crossed my mind earlier today, the other reason I'm making a video, is I got to thinking in recent weeks, about my love life and how it's never quite worked out. And it was a long time prophesied, a long time ago. We're talking 20, oh gosh, maybe even after I left my husband. So we're talking 27 years ago even. It was prophesied by a palm reader. And I never took too much notice by this, right? Because, you know, fortune telling, the gods can be trickster gods and can feed you on a few fairy stories and a few little delusional fibs that don't quite pan out. So I never took too much to heart. But over the last 27, there have been quite a few things that were accurate and came true, even though the timing might have been out by about 5 or 10 years. Like, for example, one palm reader told me that I would have, major surgery, have a hysterectomy and all that. And they said it would happen when I was 50. And in actual fact, all that happened when I was 42 and a half. So at that time, it was a very traumatic surgery, a lot of systemic abuse and horror in that hospital, as well as it being, 3 surgeries for the price of one. So it was very, very awful. But I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I was told that this surgery was going to happen. And at the time I was told, I was still quite a young woman, like, not quite 30. So I thought, oh, well, I didn't actually expect that to ever eventuate. And, 12 years later, it had come true. And I was like, wow, if that came true, then what else was prophesied that might manifest, that might come true? And I must admit, back when I was 42, when this occurred, I got my hopes up. I really did. I thought, well, I was told that I would be in a loving, happy, healthy, wonderful love relationship, I honestly can't perceive that I would marry ever again, but, I was told that I would be with someone when I'm 60, right? So I must admit, I got my hopes up and I kept thinking, well, hang on a minute. If my surgery, if the timing that they predicted about that dreadful surgery was off by, 8 years, 7.5 years, maybe the timing for this wonderful, human that's going to be the love of my life and actually be in a committed relationship with me and actually be good and kind to me for a change. Wouldn't that be nice? She says, tongue in cheek, because I can't imagine what that would be like, since, none of my other, partnerships in life were noble and caring and genuine and authentic and loving and even fucking kind. So, they all started off a bit lovely in the beginning, of course, to lure me in, and then it all went to, to hell in a handbasket. So I was thinking, oh, well, maybe this is what the gods decree, that I have to do a lot of growth and a lot of personal development and a lot of healing from, decades of trauma, people. I mean, several of the partners that I, invited into my life quite willingly and naively, tried to kill me. So there is that. So naturally, I was very, gun shy, literally gun shy of, going down that rabbit hole again. And yet, because my heart is a strangled, mutilated, but rebuilt from ground zero heart, I still fell in love with someone 8 years ago. Well, it's almost 9 years ago now. And, I did fall down into another hellscape of abandonment and rejection and emotional torture because, well, through my own personal fault, really, because how stupid can one be? I opened my heart to this person that again wasn't particularly kind or respectful, and grieved, concurrent with the grieving of my dead mother, who was an evil influence in my life. And during that time of grieving for this unrequited lover, my father died, and so there was more grief layered on. And so really the last 10 years of my life, 9 years, since I met that man, and, you know, prior to that, my mother dying, which was almost 13 years ago in March, the last 13 years were spent grieving human beings that I had gifted too much time and energy and heart and soul to, that weren't worth the black under my fingernail in even cosmic terms, because they were just not worthy. They were just, you know, and I'm including my parents in that. They were just highly abusive and venal and sadistic and cruel. So, why I'm making this video? I was told that I would meet, or I don't know, connect up with the love of my life when I'm 60. And I was told, as I said earlier, I was told this when I was still quite a young woman, you know, 30 years old, 29, 30 years old. And I couldn't imagine a time where that would be likely, especially at that time, because I was freshly strangled and traumatized, and, you know, had gone through, was going through the most horrifically awful, abusive divorce. So abusive, I actually sacked 2 sets of lawyers and had to do my own divorce. So there was that. So anyway, I couldn't imagine a time at that time where I would ever love again. And here we are, you know, 27 years later, and I have loved again. I have loved again so deeply and so profoundly that it was damaging to my health and to my psyche and to my body, you know. I've blown out organs that shouldn't have been blown out, partly because of the HRT my stupid doctor put me on, and partly because of my not always healthy diet. So there is that. I take responsibility for my own strange, eccentric anomalies. So here's the thing though, why I'm making this video, and I'm greatly amused by this. My little birdie's visiting me in trees, looking down at me with sweetness and kindness and heartfelt affection. Charlie's chewing on the power cord. We can't be having that. We can't be having that, Charlie. No chewing on the power cord. So anyway, with heartfelt affection, I am looked down upon in high regard from the gods, if not other human mortals. And that is the way it has always been. And I'm completely okay with that. So I had my debrief yesterday with my psychiatrist, who was a wonderful man. And he said to me, I was telling him how I have my little infamous little spot in this venue where I dance regularly. And I said that I feel at times that I am under supervision, you know, being monitored a bit, because my moods do fluctuate. And if I feel threatened and my trauma gets activated, I do sometimes act out a bit. And I said, but I feel like although I'm under supervision and monitored a bit, I said, I don't actually mind, because it means I'm a little bit protected and respected, like that I'm cared about and cared for, to the degree where, you know, I don't feel always safe there, given the times we're living in with the COVID epoch and the general craziness and what I refer to as the zombie apocalypse. So people come out dancing who are actually quite disturbed and not mentally well at all, and they're drawn to me like a magnet. It's actually quite alarming at times, and I'm having to manage it, including my own emotional mental health issues that can be flubbery, depending on who's come to confront me and who's pushing what buttons, right? which I have learnt to navigate and rise above most of the time. And I'm very proud of that. It means that all the work I've done with my psychiatrist over the last 12 years and the psychiatrist before him, so being in therapy over 20 years, has actually yielded, a lot of positive results and healing in my mind, body and spirit, for which I'm grateful for. I technically should not even be alive. So the fact that I have overcome these horrific abusive situations and my own trauma issues is a testament to not just my spirit, but to the determination of the gods to fulfill my prayers and dreams and manifestations of having a lovely, love-filled, peaceful, joyful, meaningful, and protected and cared for and prosperous, healthy, generous, kind existence on this planet. I prayed for that for decades. Even as a child, I was praying for that. To be safe, to be loved, to be cared for, and to be treated with honour and integrity and, basic human decency and respect. And I've lived long enough now that I'm seeing these manifestations unfolding in front of my own eyes. And it's wonderful, but at times I still doubt it. I'm like, okay, what the fuck is this? And when does the shoe fall? And when does this turn into something ugly? Because that has been my experience for decades, right? So one of my recent debriefs with my doctor, I mentioned that I've been going back dancing in my favourite venue since April, since the COVID mandates were, released. And those of us who are unvaccinated, who held our ground and fought for our body, minds and spirits, were allowed to go dancing again. So I've been out bravely, courageously, given my own precarious health issues and my terrible respiratory issues that have been since the age of 4, I've suffered with those. Putting myself out in a public venue where the potential to catch, COVID or something nasty is amplified quite dramatically, because I live a very, very reclusive, almost hermitage, almost now bordering on agoraphobia, to be honest, life in my little house with my little bird, my little dog. And the only people I see during the week, is my cleaning lady that the government sends to me, and she's been coming since March. So she's the only person I see that comes to my home now, and my best friend Lynn, and on occasion my other best friend Jared, and occasionally my daughter Crystal. I see no one else at my home. I walk around the neighbourhood every day, have a 10-minute walk for the exercise with my beautiful dog and my bird. I take Charlie on a little wander I've made specially for her, and we walk around together, and they love it. And so I have a little bit of interaction each day with, I visit little dog friends of Beauregard, little Coco and another dog named Blue, and my other friend's dog I will visit occasionally, Rosie. And so we take great delight in that, visiting the neighbourhood dog friends. And I stop and talk, I talk to Coco's owner, Peter, who's a friend of mine from the neighbourhood. And, and I might stop and have a chat to someone else in the neighbourhood as I go by. But by and large, I don't interact much now with people in my neighbourhood because there's been a lot of, condescension and nastiness directed at me and referring to me as the witch and being unpleasant. So, to hell with them. We're living in an apocalyptic situation where life is ever more precarious. It's getting ever more dangerous. Food costs are going up. Petrol costs went up. They've come back down again, but they'll go up again. People are frightened of keeping their homes because interest rates went up. And instead of people being kind and supportive and decent, they're doing what humanity has always done, turned ugly, vicious, and, gone back to their primitive othering and nastiness to the most vulnerable, marginalised people in our society, which in my case is me, right? Being the Jew and the witch sitting in my little housing commission cottage, struggling to put food on my table with very minimal funds, the pension, and being mocked and derided for daring to, make copper bracelets recently, and because I'm trying to establish a little bit of a business to try and make a little bit of extra income, which has not been successful yet. But they begrudge me even that much. It's evil. It's really venal and evil. These wealthier people in the neighbourhood who, have husbands who are engineers and bring in what, 10 grand, 10 grand a week income, while I'm struggling to fucking feed myself. But they want me dead, I'm not paranoid about this. They'd be quite happy if I die and then they can move in, take my house and land, which is government owned, and bulldoze it and put some big monstrosity on it. And, that will happen when I eventually die. But they can fucking wait, right? They can fucking wait. Because I'm enjoying my life and I deserve my place on planet Earth in this time, regardless of what happens in the world around me. I'm enjoying my life. It's a defiance and a rebellion that is beautiful, that is human, and that is heartfelt. Me enjoying my existence on this planet. I have not had a pleasant, lovely life. It's been a life of trauma and struggle. So now I'm older, at 57, I will fight to defend my right to have peace in my garden and my home with my pets. I'm worthy of that much, as is every other human being on this planet, is worthy of living their life in peace and, whatever little luxuries they can afford or manifest by the grace of the gods. We're all worthy of having love and health, good health and happiness, with harm to none and competition with none. Gifted to us peacefully and breezily and easily with, positive, loving intentions. As I'm living proof that there is goodness in the world. I have been blessed with very kind, loving benefactors and friends and earth angels in my time on this planet. So I want to tell you about this prophecy, right? That I would have true love. And by true love, I don't mean some romantic in and out, climb on you, huff and puff, blow and go and run off, never to be seen again. That, my friends, is not true love. That is usury and sordidity. And, while it might have brought sweet, brief release, orgasmic release sometimes, if you were lucky, if they managed to last that long, it's not actually feeding the soul to have a man that comes and goes like the wind and then disdains you, right? Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, got the decades of therapy. So I'm very amused and I'm laughing about this now, right? Because I very much doubt that prophecy will come true, that my romantic idealist idea of a true love will manifest in my life. But you never know. Stranger things have been known to happen in my life, much stranger. But anyway, I'm not waiting for it anymore. I'm not living in fantasies or hopes. I'm just living my best life the best way I can, making jewellery when I have the energy and the resources. I've got to buy more silver and I can't afford it right now, but I will. I've got to remake a thing that I made a few days ago that failed, but was also a success because I could see the potential for it to turn out. So I'm very excited about that. My new silversmithing journey has just found a new skill, which is casting silver, and I'm very excited about that. So my focus has been on learning this new skill to give me hope for the future, to give me a means where I might be able to have a marketable skill where I can make, at least a bit of extra pocket money to contribute to my finances in such a way that, I'm not panicking when a bill comes in and I'm not panicking when I need to buy food, right? Although we did have the panic last year with the lockdowns when everybody hoarded all the toilet paper and food was getting harder and harder to find. It is frightening when our basic needs are denied us by our governments and their collusion with the powers that be, the elite or whoever's trying to starve us, poison us off this planet. So it's alarming. So in the middle of an apocalypse where the whole world has gone completely insane and everything's inverted and people were by and large terrorized, the Tanya, that is me, the psychedelic dreamer, that's also me, dreamed opulently of building herself a little business and give herself stability. And still, after all these decades of grief and trauma and disappointment with men, I still dreamed of finding a loving, kind, authentic, genuine, sweet, supportive, generous partnership, right? So, after 12 years of dancing in my favourite little spot, I danced in other venues too for years, but the last few years I exclusively danced at this spot. This dance venue. And after the last 3 years of the COVID epoch, and there was 6 months when I was denied access to dance there at all because of my unvaccinated status, which, didn't really bother me because I got busy making jewellery and my focus was on that. So anyway, I've been back dancing there since April this year. It's now December the 15th. So what's that? 7 months? So 8 months nearly. I observed, to my great amusement but also chagrin, the last few weeks, last month or so, but the last few weeks in particular. Now I dance, I because I'm always fatigued and unwell, generally unwell, I summon up all my energy to dance once a week. And I usually dance now on a Friday night, which is the Jewish Shabbat. All right. I used to dance both Friday and Saturday nights. but I don't have the energy for that now. So I tend to prefer, for some reason, to dance on Friday night. Can't really explain why that is. I could dance Saturday. I think I went out on a Saturday night a few weeks ago. So it doesn't really matter which night I dance, but for some reason I seem to prefer to dance Friday night. And I call it my Oneg Shabbat. So anyway, because I dance wildly, and it's a celebration of my freedom as a human being on this planet. So what happened was, what I've observed with great chagrin at times, was that there were some former love interests. When I say love interests, some of them I never had a sexual, connection with. Thank the gods, because some of them have turned up now like veritable zombies and utterly creepy and vile. And I look at them and think, oh, I used to think you were a bit attractive and used to kind of like you. And now what has happened? What has happened to you? One turned up. He was a younger man. I never went there. I never went there sexually with him. I quite liked him at the time. Actually, ended a friendship with a very dear friend because she competed for him with me against me, and I found it deeply offensive because she had a partner at home of her own, and I'm a single woman, and it's like, why would you do that? Why would you behave like that? It was crass. So I lost two friends that night, this young man that I liked and my friend who'd actually been a very dear friend to me for, at that time, a couple of years, and had been very devoted. Oh, what the fuck is going on here? So anyway, that younger man turned up on Friday night, and look, honestly, it was almost comical, but it was also horrific. This is how brainwashed and disturbed many people are now here in Australia and across the globe. He turned up on Friday night with a mask that's supposed to cover your nose and your mouth, right? If you're really worried about COVID and you want to wear your mask, like, I understand. Like, some people have got people with leukemia or other cancers and, a very elderly family, and they're frightened that they're going to kill them, right? Which is also bullshit, in my view. It was just programming and brainwashing. It's not even true, but bear that in mind. Those who choose to wear their masks because they think they're protecting a family member and that, I respect that. You're doing what you think you need to do to protect your loved ones, and that's completely acceptable and okay in my view. But this fellow turned up. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I just looked at him, and you know what? I actually said it out loud, and I don't like being nasty to people. It's not my style. There's no need to be nasty to people. But I actually went, ooh, and turned away because he was wearing the mask, but it was hanging off his chin, and it was hanging under his chin like this. And do you know what it looked like? It looked like a nappy to catch his drool, because it wasn't even on his face. And he's looking at me like, gormless twat, which he really is a gormless twat. It was a gormless twat 3 years ago when I had a slight crush on him. So now I've realised, right, psychedelic dreamer, that is me, has healed enough in her psyche to recognise that I was in love with a gormless twat, because the gormless twatty can't even put the mask up on his nose properly. And if you're going to wear a mask, wear the fucking thing properly, right? Like, otherwise, you just look like an idiot. And why? Why would you even do that? So I had to refrain from bursting out laughing, because I was both, amused, but also equally sickened and horrified by this macabre display. It's like, it's the Phantom of the Opera. inside my mind. Anyway, so there was that. Now, that younger man, he's not young, he's in his 40s, but he's too young for me anyway, so I'm not going there. I'm glad I didn't go there. I'm relieved I didn't go there. Imagine if I had sex with that man and how crazy he is. It would have been, oh, dear goddess. Oh, dear God. So thank you. Thank you for just being a complete ass and, being weak and pathetic, because you saved me from another disaster, right? So, oh, look, you have to laugh. It's quite funny. But anyway, in my debrief with my psychiatrist recently, I think it was about a month ago, he said to me, people have been so terrified and terrorised by this whole COVID epoch regime that's been run right across the world globally. You can't even blame one particular country for it, because they all got on that bandwagon and abused their citizens for a biological weapon and a sniffle and a flu that, yes, people have died, but equally people have died of flus in the past and other illnesses. So they really whipped it into a frenzy, and it's been evil what's gone on. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. It was complete evil and perversion and sadism and sick. So here we go. My psychiatrist says to me, people are, meaning men and women, looking for love. He said they're all coming out of the woodwork now, Tanya, because they've all realised we've all been terrorised for years, and we've all denied ourselves of normal life, having normal, love romances and even casual sex and even partnership, because we've all been scared of dying, right? He said they're all waking up now, and they're all coming out, and they're all blossoming out like little flowers, realising this is their last chance to maybe find love and have some kind of normal reality again in their life, at least having a normal sexual loving partnership. And I looked at him and I said, yes, I've been hoping for that all my life. It hasn't manifested. I said, but I can see that too, that people are coming out now. People that I haven't seen in 3 years have started coming back to, where I dance, the venue. And they are, it's no big secret. It's a Treasury casino, live wire bar. No big secret. I don't know why I'm being precious about it. Anyway, I said people are starting to come back there, and I'm sure they're going back to all the other venues where live music is played and bands, and where people congregate to dance and drink and flirt and have a good time, right? Some go there motivated by hooking up for sex, and some go there like me just to dance and have a good time and be wild and carefree and whirling dervish and berserker stomp and, catalyze and cathetize all our, fears and anxieties and traumas by dancing joyfully and triumphantly, as I have always done for the last 12 years. So motivated primarily by the dance and exercise and fun and laughter and childlike joyfulness, and occasionally I'd fall in love with some creature and it wouldn't work out and I'd get grief-stricken. But all through that nightmarish hellscape, I continued to dance. So I'll look at my little baby. She's having cuddles. My little baby's having... We continue to dance, Charlie. You who can't fly. I know, we continue the dance of life. Because life is for the living. Not the zombie apocalypse. Not the cowards. Not those who bent over and took everything, figuratively and literally, up the arse. Those who chose life. Chose life beyond all other things. Chose the celebration and the existing in their body, mind and spirit, as fully fleshed out human beings, alive and well as we can manifest, given our human limitations, and in my case, quite considerable health concerns. Look at this. My little baby. You want attention back on you, Charlie? So anyway, my psychiatrist was a little bit prescient about that, because he's right. In the last 2 weeks, some of what I would refer to as the old guard, meaning regulars that I danced with years ago at Irish Murphy's, that filthy rape den, and I also danced at the Elephant, and I used to dance at various clubs in the valley, like Sabotage, and I think I went a few times to Cloudland, but I mainly danced in like the Elephant in the old days at Irish Murphy's or at the Treasury Casino, right? So there was, wherever I went in the music scene, it was always the same old guard. It was the same people pretty much everywhere, same regulars. They would trot off and we would follow the same bands, because it's the same bands that play around Brisbane City. Oh my goodness, don't bite his mummy. No, don't come on, that kind of happens. So you'd be nice to mama. You'd be nice to your mama. So you'd see the same regular faces, everywhere you went. And that's okay. Some of them were friendly and some of them were hostile, and it's just human nature. You just don't worry about it. You just keep dancing as fast as you can on your spot, living your best life, because the best revenge is happiness. Yay! So anyway, so the funny thing is, I've been back at the Treasury Casino since April, and only now, late November, early December, well, we're halfway through December now, have some of the, the older regulars that I recognise and know. I don't know them personally well, some of them, but, know them from the music scene. Only now are they literally crawling out of the woodwork, coming up for air and coming back to the casino. And I'm sure coming back to other venues as well. So I was greatly amused by this. So anyway, so one of them turned up 2 weeks ago, and I actually kind of like him, but we never went there, sexually, thank God. Well, he's a very nice man, I'm sure, but, he's odd. He's a bit odd. Anyway, and I'm a bit odd, so no judgment there. But, anyway, what happened was he used to like to wind me up many years ago when I was at Irish Murphy's. So he turned up and he went, "Oh, it's you." And I just went, and threw him my face and looked away. But I don't really hate him. It's just our little thing we have where we're just mean to each other. It's like kindergarten, really. It's not very effete or elegant or, sophisticated. But, that's the calibre of the human being I'm dealing with. So that's how I treat them, Oh, behave. Anyway, so that was funny. That was a bit funny. And then last Friday night, there was a wonderful band called Runes playing. And I liked that. So we were dancing to that, and they played the Angel song, am I ever going to see your face again? No way, get fuck off, right? Which I find hilarious. So I was actually pointing to this guy with my fan going, and there were people in the way going, no, not you, get out of the way, get out. And I actually moved out of the way so I could point directly at this man and go, no way, get fuck off. And I'm like saying it like I mean it, but I don't really mean it. It's just show business and hamming and having a bit of nonsensical fun, right? And I think even he knows that. But he looks at me like this, and he kind of danced around me. So it was actually quite sweet, actually. This is a man who's been very avoidant and sometimes a bit nasty. He's like, can't wait to dance around me because I'm nothing else if not a little bit alluring and exciting, right? So it crossed my mind today by making this video that some of those old guard, old regular men at the casino venue and the elephant venue and the former Irish venues venue, who had actually been quite treacherous and vicious to me, to the point where I was banned out of Irish Murphy's for defending my honour and protecting my my assets. It was venal what happened to me, and I'm not over it yet. I will never forgive. That can go on the ether for eternity. That venue will never, the owners of that venue will never be forgiven. How they run their business is totally their business, but I will never give them my business again, because they were filthy what they did to me. So anywho, yeah, all these regulars that came from that establishment still trot up to the casino because it's right next door. I'm cool with that. That's life. It's a free world, people. Go where you're celebrated. Go where you're welcomed. Go where you're treated with honour, integrity and respect, right? Although there's been times when I at the Treasury Casino that were a bit, how's your father? And I had to go to war on their heads. But by and large, I've stayed in that scene, that venue for 12 years. So that says a lot about me and my determination to dance to live bands and not take too much to heart when the venal creatures that are demonic ridden, come to harass me. I mean, they make me sick to my core, but, I go home to a beautiful sacred space garden with my pets, so I get over it, I heal and go back out again the following weekend. There's no one, not even death, stops me from living my life in joy and triumph and happiness and as much peace as I can muster when I'm surrounded by a seething hotbed of enemies that happened in the past. There were so many enemies, and it was so very draining that ultimately I did try to get off the bus, Gus, permanently. But the gods wouldn't allow it, because the gods knew that this time would manifest in my life, right? It's here, people. It's here and now, where not only am I loved, and I don't mean in a romantic, sexual way, because I'm still on my own and still don't have a partner, but I'm loved in a spiritual, emotional, honouring, caring way, that I can go out and dance and be my own self and enjoy my life and be surrounded by people that actually look at me with a measure of respect and awe, because they know the price I paid for my right to have that little bit of freedom and that little bit of, well, not just a little bit, a great deal of frivolity and sometimes mischievous ribaldry and joyfulness, childlike emanations of joy. And I'm grateful for that. So there were a few old guard regulars turning up, looking at me with either fresh eyes or with newfound respect, because they've seen that I have supersede all the evil that was thrown at me in 2015 and all the recent evils that were, that I've been immersed in by not of my own volition with this COVID epoch. The whole planet's been immersed in it like frogs in a boiling pot. They keep turning up the temperature and squeezing us out of our minds and our existence. And my psychiatrist tells me yesterday that, the mental health crisis is off the Richter scale right now, caused by all this domestic terrorism and horror that we've been subjected to. And I can well imagine, I explained to him, I said, I've had quite a few other dancers come up to me at the casino in recent weeks who were actually quite psychotic and mad, who badly need medicating. I said, but they're drawn to me because they see me regularly every week without fail on my little spot on the dance floor doing my thing, and they're drawn to that. You know, maybe they think in some way that I can help them, which of course I can't. Every man, woman and child has to take responsibility for their own psyche, body, mind and soul. But I understand that they're drawn to my light and my fiery determination to thrive in my own being, you know. So anyway, it occurred to me this morning with great humour and amusement. It occurred to me, I thought, the prophecy that was told to me when I was 29, 30, you know, and it was reiterated right up until I was 35, that I would find the one when I'm 60, and I'll be 58 in April, and I've actually given up on the one, on the big love of my life that I thought would be here with me now, loving me and cherishing me and honouring me and caring for me and standing with me in loyalty and fidelity. That's my manifestations, people. I thought he would be here by now. But he hasn't manifested in my life, and that too might be, you know, the timelines got shifted completely out of normal, ordinary reality as far back as 2001 with the Twin Tower September 11 attack. And I was well aware that that was also the beginning of the end of Western civilization as we know it. And someone pointed out, Thomas Sheridan pointed out in a video that the whole world changed inevitably on that day, 2001. September 11. And I agree with that to a large degree, but I also know that for me personally, and I'm often the canary down the mine, I do things much earlier, or I sense things, or I'm affected by things much earlier than the zeitgeist or the collective. My world turned upside down in 1995 with the strangulation and my separation. That's when my world changed irrevocably. And then, you know, only a few short years after that, you know, 6 years later was September 11. And I remember thinking at that point in time that, like, that explains why my last 6 years have been a hell on earth. It's like the gods were training me to be ready for these times that are only now escalating out of control now. So in the middle of a full-blown now zombie apocalypse orchestrated by our governments, an attack on humanity, on all of humanity, the 99% of us who don't have enough money to guard our souls and our minds and our bodies and provide ourselves with homes. I mean, I was divested of the equivalent of 4 homes in the last 27 years, so there is that. Who don't have enough money to feed ourselves, who fight for our freedom every day, in my case, by dancing joyfully and triumphantly and sometimes getting quite amped up and berserker-like, because I am a warrior goddess. I didn't know that 27 years ago, that was my fate, but I am a warrior goddess. I had to supersede stranglers, rapists, systemic abusers, lawyers, other doctors, you name it, I have supersumed it. right? And now they come to me. These men that looked at me in the past. One came past, not last Friday night, the Friday night before. After I finish dancing, I go usually to get, something to eat at the 7-Eleven, or just to get out in fresh air out in the streets and have a little walk. I stagger on my very sore feet, and I usually get a soft drink or something, I stagger back and then I get in the car and go home. That's my usual habit, but I haven't been doing that lately. But anyway, this personage, this creature, went past me, went, "Oh, hello, love." And I sort of cast an eye at him sideways. "Oh, hello." Manners are the hallmark of civilization, people, even when you're confronted by your enemies. So I looked at him, I thought, oh my God, I have had sex with that one in the past. I did. I had a night with that one. When I was off my head grieving my dead, evil, malevolent, vicious mother, and I was having that period of time when I was acting out, hoping against hope to find true love, romance, passion, and a partner who treats me with utmost care and respect, right? Didn't manifest, unfortunately. So now I'm left with the dregs, right, that come past me now, starting to come past me, recycling of souls. They come past me with probably a little bit of mischief, or impish mischief, demonic, hellhound-ridden ugliness and putrescence. Hello, love. I'm the one that got away. Yeah, keep running, boy chick. Keep running. Just keep running. Don't come back ever near my energy again, motherfucker. I look at them and I think, what was I thinking? Well, I wasn't, was I? In those days, I was under the intensely mind-altering effects of Zyprexa and Cipramel and every fucking psych med they'd had me on, for 15 years, just to keep me alive, right, from my horrific life. And I understand, I participated in that quite willing, thinking the psych meds would heal me and heal my life. No, my life didn't heal until all my enemies were dead. Isn't that ironic? So now these former flames, and they weren't even flames, they were just casual bonks that were just, you might have well have pissed in a pot. They were had about that much dedication and emotion towards me. But now they have the nerve, the chutzpah, the temerity, the audacity to float past me and go, "Hello, love, remember me?" Honestly, it really is that infantile. So anyway, so there's a few of them now that popped up in recent weeks. One I also had a night with. I mean, he wasn't harmful, but he was just a zombie and a dead shit and useless. He sat and just stared at me, throughout the night, and then got up and left very dignified. I thought, well, that's cool. At least he didn't bother me or try and interface with me, because, you had your moment in time, gyrating in my cloaca, and you've had your gyration and you've been, centrifuged out because you weren't suitable and you weren't honouring and you weren't decent and loving and kind. And now you want to know me. Mate, too little, too late. We've gone through an entire global crisis and apocalypse and of horrific hellscape. And now you want to show me how much you really cared. The remorse and the regrets and the bathos. I don't have any sympathy for you. You let me down, not once, many, many times. And I survived and I thrived. And by the gods, if my beautiful, loving man never appears in my life by the time I'm 60, he's got, when will I be? I'll be 58 in April. He's got 2 years and 4 months to get his shit together, if it's someone from the past. And I hope not, because I don't really want those ones from the past that were cruel and vapid and insipid and sadistic. And if it's someone new, well, he'll have to be someone spectacular to turn my head over again, because I have the trauma issues and the years of cruelty that I have had to overcome. So if I let my walls down for someone new, that will be the biggest act of insanity and bravery I will have ever committed in my life. You know, part of me thinks that if I have one more man come into my life that's cruel and sadistic like the others, it verily, verily will kill me. But my jaw's very sore under here. I think I've got another cyst forming. I keep having this pain right under here. It's really weird. Anyway, but I have superassumed my own existence in the midst of this COVID epoch where everyone else lost their heads. I made jewellery. I taught myself silversmithing. I've got a lot more to learn, a lot more skills to perfect, but I'm inspired and I'm excited by it. And I post on Instagram my failures and my little triumphs and things up for sale. And even though I have only sold one item to a lady down the street actually and sold nothing from my Instagram account, so I'm probably wasting my time with that too. And who's going to buy jewellery when you can't afford to feed yourself and your kids? Like, I've done a very, very atypical Jewish thing. I have become a jeweler and strive to survive by having a little business going when the end is already a fait accompli, really. It's actually beautiful. This is how I know I'm really Jewish, people. When the end was nigh, I didn't give up. I carried on as per normal, as though I have nothing to fear and nothing to lose. And that is the triumph of my Jewish soul, neshama, and my Viking heritage as well. Never cede to the enemy. Fight, fight, fight with everything you have, with heart and soul and creativity, and reclaim your life. Even from the ashes shall we reclaim our lives. And I'm living proof of that too. Every time some animal tried to kill me, from my own Jewish community, by the way, I rose above it. I even fell in love with another animal who tried to kill me again, who haunted me when he died in 2016. And I'm still rising above that one. So the dead might be dancing and the ghosts of former Israeli lovers might be haunting, but I'm making my jewellery and my videos and living peacefully and joyfully with my beautiful ones. Aren't we, Beauregard? And everything that was lost or torn from me or raped out of me or sullied or desecrated or strangled is returning to me, to the power of 10 by the grace of the gods. All that was stolen from me, all the gold that was stolen from me while I danced years ago at the casino, things that were slipped off my fingers by pickpockets, and the love that was stolen from me and literally pissed on by men who aren't worthy of a scrap of my spirit, who still cycle around me thinking, oh, there she is, Tanya, we'll stalk her and we'll harass her and we'll intimidate her. And then they meet me, the woman who loved foolishly but loyally beyond belief. They can't even quantify it because they're that, what's the word? Incapable and unable to be half the man that I am, woman. And I'm not being narcissistic or egoic when I say this. It sounds that way, I know. But I have proven my own worth to my own self. You know, I put myself and my children for years, decades, in a toxic Jewish temple where I was not welcome, where I was slandered and backstabbed. For decades, I held my ground, raised my children as Jews, proved myself and proved myself and proved myself to the point where I am spat on, not necessarily physically. Can't even buy Hanukkah candles in my own Jewish community now. It's a disgrace, is what it is, an utmost disgrace. And even though I am a heathen and a Jew and a witch and I dance on the Holy Shabbat, the Jewish community can know my heart and soul still belongs to God. I have my Shabbat 6 days a week, and I have my dancing and victory and wildness and shamanic journeying, by the way, because I do go into an altered state when I dance for hours and hours and hours of exercise, push my body beyond its mortal ken. Those are for all still for the edification of Creator, the Holy One, that has no name. So they don't understand and respect my walk, and I understand that. I have my own way with the gods, and by the gods have had their way with me and still send me trickster spirits and dubukim and demonic little imps. I love, oh dear goddess, it was actually comical. I laughed. I went home and I had a good laugh over that one. So all those entities in this incarnation that share this planet with me, who treated me with absolute condemnation and disrespect and wanted me dead, the moral of the story is, fuck you, life goes on, and the true love that I've been waiting for all my life to join with me in a loving, caring, respectful partnership is me. The man, the woman, the child, the spirit, the neshama, the ancient ones, and the ones that belong to the future are inside of me. And if a human man that is worthy of my light and my fight and my courage and valor and my love for the gods and for humanity, in spite of everything that was done to me, I still love. There is still great hope for humanity. If he can come to me clean and clear with pure intentions and reveal his true honouring love for me that is worthy of being with me in partnership for our older age, because, you know, I'm getting older now. I would welcome him. Philosophically, I would welcome him, but it's going to take some doing to know if I can trust any mortal man ever again after the other monstrosities. You know, apart from my true, loyal, loving male platonic friends, of course. I don't class them as monstrosities. You know, they are brothers and loving, kind men in my life. You know, my psychiatrist, who is a loving, kind doctor. My friend Jared, who is a brother to me. And there are a few friends on Facebook who have been kind, decent, human men who are in my life because they are respectful and genuine and caring. But when it came to sexual or love partnerships, never mind. That was what the gods decreed, and that was now, and that was then, and this is now. We are who we are becoming, and I'm seeing the recycling of souls. And yes, if I'm laughing at you, you know, it's because I've risen above your mischief and your arrant buffoonery and your sadism and cruelty, and you just look a little bit ridiculous now, you former lovers who couldn't behave with honour or decency towards me. More fool you. So I am queen of my own destiny at last, and it's taken me 57 and a half years to get to this space, and I will not be so easily shoved off my perch. Will I, Charlie? Charlie! She says, I don't know, Mama T. I'm just preening all my feathers right now. I've got important work to do in the universe, and that is to be the best rainbow lorikeet I can possibly be, while you rave on with your mad little stories that nobody even listens to probably anyway, and if they do, they just think you're a bit mad, and that's okay. I don't mind being mad if there is truth and honour and integrity in amongst the madness and the frivolity and the bathos. Then someone out in YouTube world just might benefit from my story. God bless. May the gods of your understanding, the benevolent holy ones, bless you and me for our most beneficial outcome. May we blossom, may we overcome, and may we thrive in great peace and joy and prosperity and good health. Sei gesund, my beloved ones. Sei gesund. Be well. Be happy. Be love. Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. Tanya Aarons.